Hey, welcome to the Crossworks Media Podcast with Javen and Clayton. In today's stories, we bring you San Francisco to spend $6.5 million on homeless people, with only one exception. They're only going for the transgenders. And our second story, should you take your kids to a pride parade? Some people think that's a very good idea, and they give you tips on how to prepare your kids. Our next story, bomb threats to drop Title IX investigation on misused pronouns in a school. And a teacher on TikTok tries to explain non-binary to her second graders, and it does not go as planned. And in our last story, during the premiere of the Daily Wire's What is a Woman, they were met with intense DDoS attacks to shut down the premiere. We send it over to Javen with our first story.
Hello, guys. Beautiful day here. We gotta thank the Lord for that. So, first story is coming up with San Francisco proposes to spend $6.5 million to end transgender homelessness. This is getting outrageous. The thing is, right here he says the mayor's office will work with several city agencies and local nonprofits to end homelessness for the estimated 400 transgender and gender nonconforming homeless people in the city. According to a news release from Breed's office, the plan is included in her 2-year budget. Transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming San Franciscans are 18 times more likely to experience homelessness compared to the general population, and we know that the rates are even higher for our minority trans communities, Breed said in a statement. With one of the largest TGNC, the gender non-conforming populations in the country, we not only must ensure all San Franciscans have the access to housing and essential resources through continued investments, but we can show the country that we continue to be a leader on supporting and protecting our trans community. This is probably one of the stupidest things I've ever read in my entire life. It doesn't make sense because, first of all, I don't think throwing money at homeless people, period, is what fixes the problem, because they're homeless for a reason. You know, in this economy, you can get out and get a job literally anywhere, doing anything, and make a decent amount of money. A lot of these homeless people are like mentally ill, and throwing money at them is not going to do anything. And honestly, I shouldn't say that most are, but either way, throwing money at problems never fixes anything. I mean, look at the U.S. government. They make a lot of money off taxes every year, and they keep asking for more to fix stuff. So if you look at this, it's pretty depressing. Anyways, so San Francisco is a freaking hole, okay? And if you're in California, get the frig out of California. It's outrageous. It's a waste of money there. They have a picture here of the streets of San Francisco, and it's disgusting.
There's poop everywhere.
Look at this. Look at this picture, Clayton.
Yeah, it's such a wasteland over there. If you want to see what a third world country looks like, just go to any of the big cities over in California. I was listening to this podcast a while back, and this dude went over to Los Angeles for some event. I think it was during the Super Bowl or something. It was like one of the first times he went over there, and he was like, I had no idea what it was like over there. He was like, there was poop everywhere. I was driving my car, and I just saw piles of poop everywhere. It's such a disaster over there, and they don't know what to do with it. And I heard a story a while back. I forgot how many years ago it was, but this dude he had a wife and kids, and you know they were kind of a little lower class, but he ended up just leaving his wife and kids, and to go be homeless, because he said, I would have a better life being homeless. The government's going to give me a free phone. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. And when we look at a place like California, and you see them propping up this stuff, like, oh, we're going to give $6.5 million to transgender homeless people. What do you think these homeless people are going to start doing? Oh, I'm non-gender conforming. I'm transgender. Listen, people, if you think that LGBT is in the minority, yeah, I'm sorry, I did not properly say it. Forgive me. Anyways, if you think they're in the minority and they're oppressed, you have to be stupid or something, because listen, I've never heard of anyone just wanting to be part of a minority that's oppressed, okay? And people just are wanting to be oppressed, I'm saying in quotes, by being LGBT.
QIA.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, they literally can get almost anything they want by touting their victimhood mentality. It's sick.
Well, the thing is that transgenders are the minority. It's just that half the time it isn't. You would think that they're such a bigger part of the population because they have the loudest voice. I've never heard of people that are such an oppressed minority, but they have the biggest voice in the country. They have laws that are specifically made for them. On Twitter, I know that they have rules where if you misgender someone, you can get your account taken down. I've never seen some oppressed minority that has such power in the social media or just the public realm. Where I mean, if someone said my wrong pronouns, I know dang well I'm not going to get anything done with me. The problem with transgenderism is that it attacks the idea that you're made in the image of God. It's rejecting the very first pages of the Bible.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just the government, these elitists, they want to enslave people like this. Like, you are a slave to them, okay? Because they are saying you are a victim and you are oppressed and you are listening to them and you are agreeing with them and you'll do anything they say if you're oppressed or a victim of something. It's outrageous, people. It's got to end. I guess let's shoot on over to our next story. Clayton, take it down.
All right, so in our next story by fatherly.com, which is just a site where they help fathers, the headline is, "Should you take your kids to a pride parade? Kids can join in the fun of pride, but there are certain conversations you should have beforehand." So, considering the benefits for all families, including seeing other LGBTQ plus families like yours or showing up as an ally of your family members are straight or cisgender, the answer is absolutely, not to mention that these education aspects of pride are paired with joy and celebration, but it is necessary to talk to kids about new things that they may see at pride before diving in. If you're taking your family to pride for the first time, make sure you're having a conversation of it ahead of time. So they basically go on and talk about why you should show your kids some pride books, and they go on to say some really messed up stuff. So Jennifer McGuire, PhD, an associate professor of family social science at the University of Minnesota, has been to pride celebrations across the world with her family from Tucson to Amsterdam. McGuire, a lesbian parent, always preps her kids for possible adult content beforehand. After a few events, the kids knew to expect nudity and other surprises. They just had to learn to laugh and enjoy things, like there were Beanie Babes with giant penises on them, McGuire says. For a 4th and 5th grade kid, that's super funny. They don't necessarily get that from their swimming teams and drama clubs in school. I don't even know exactly what to say about that. Like, so you're gonna tell your kid that, you're gonna go to this. It even goes on further on to say, family friendly LGBTQ plus pride rallies. How is that kid friendly? You're telling your kids to expect nude people at a thing, and that it's funny because and cool because they can't get that at their regular school functions. Why are you just blatantly bringing your kids to where they're going to be able to see naked grown adults? Why would you subject your kid to that? And then you wonder why kids they see pornography and stuff at such young ages, because they're just shown all this stuff and they see that it's like a normal thing. You should be proud of showing your naked body off. I mean, then you're gonna get them, and now there's kids that are becoming like, drag events, but they're literally like stripping down. There was that Desmond is Amazing guy a couple of years ago where there was a video. They were saying that he's not it's fine. He's just dancing with drag people. But there was a video where he was on stage taking his shirt off, dancing for grown adults, and they were handing him money, and they found nothing wrong with that. They're getting your kids at a young age.
Yeah, 100%. Like you posted the other day, the left doesn't need to have kids; they have yours. And I've never been a proponent for homeschooling, but if I was in any of these areas where stuff like this is happening, I'd get my kid out of the school and then I'd move out. So into what you were saying earlier, I'm gonna read this from the Bible here, Matthew chapter 18 verse 6. Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me, but whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Taking your kid to a pride parade. making your kid or leading him to do this drag stuff, you are offending one of God's little ones. Okay? And it says that it would be better off that a millstone would be hung on your neck and you'd be cast into the sea. There is nothing worse than when you go after the innocence of a child. An innocence of the beautiful, godly innocence of a child who wants to go play with trucks and wants to go play with Barbies if she's a girl, or dolls rather. And you know what? Children are very easily influenced. Okay, they're like a fragile vessel at that young age. If you start indoctrinating them with this LGBTQ bull crap, you're going to ruin them. 100% you're going to ruin them. And you know what? God's wrath, I pray that God would have mercy on your soul. But if you do not repent of what you're doing to these little children, I don't know, man. I wouldn't even want to know the wrath of God at that point, because it is utter deprivation of children. It's sick.
And the thing is like you were saying earlier about the left doesn't have kids, they have yours. They're going to get your kids so young, so used to all this stuff. They're going to fly the flags, and they're going to get used to it, and it's going to become normal to them, and they're going to be able to just indoctrinate them into all the other things. And when you have teachers and stuff in school that are teaching them all this stuff, and having secret sexual conversations with your kids, which is why Ron DeSantis had that parental rights and education bill, not the don't say gay bill. That doesn't say that anywhere in the bill. Don't believe the leftists when they say that. They're going to get your kids because, are you cisgender, or are you going to be some of these really cool things that have really colorful flags? If you look at the cisgender flag, it's really boring, black and gray. Or if you go look at these nice and colorful flags, you want to be that? Ooh, I like that flag because it has the colors I like. So, I mean, they just prey on the young children and the innocents, and yeah, that's all.
Yeah, they're led by the devil, and that's the truth of it. Really, is it's the love of self and the hate of God is what it is, and right that then and there is that's the problem. So, all right, our next little news article comes from Kiel, Wisconsin. Here's essentially what happened. So there was these 3 boys in this school, and they had misgendered a person. They used the wrong pronouns, and so the school is using Title IX, which is a landmark federal law prohibiting sex-based discrimination in education. So they're using a Title IX lawsuit against these 3 kids, and I'm pretty sure they're in middle school. Like, they're not old kids. So anyways, I guess people are threatening to bomb the school here. They've gotten 6 bomb threats. The first one was May 23rd, and the last one was on June 1st, Pride Day. So 6 bomb threats, man. I'm telling you what, people don't want to put up with this stuff anymore, and that's kind of why we're doing this podcast, because it's sickening watching all this freaking bullcrap indoctrination, and I'm getting pretty sick of it. You're getting pretty sick of it, and we need to stand up to this crap. And I mean, I don't know if bomb threats are actually, I know bomb threats are probably not the right way to do this, but people are getting desperate is what it is. People are feeling like they're losing their grip, they're losing their control over their kids and their schools and their towns, and desperate times, I mean, people are going to make desperate measures, and that's too bad, really, Anything you have to say about this, Clayton?
Yeah, the thing is that it's such a big topic in America because we're like one of the last nations that it's actually coming to. I mean, it's pretty much set in stone in other nations. You look at Canada, Jordan Peterson, when he blew up, he refused to say people's preferred pronouns because he said I don't have to go along with your truth, in quotations. And he ended up getting fired, and he went under a lot of attacks because he wouldn't say his students' preferred pronouns. And they're just starting to attack even our own language because they're just coming up with all these words, all these neo-pronouns. And it shoots right back to on May 31st of this year, a Norwegian feminist faces 3 years in prison over saying transgenders aren't women. A Norwegian feminist could be facing up to 3 years in prison for allegedly hateful tweets directed at a male who claims to be a lesbian woman. Christina Ellingensen, a representative of feminist organization's Women's Declaration International, is being investigated under hate crime charges for tweets she made between February 2021 and February 2022. The tweets were in question were replies directed at Christine Marie Gentoft, a representative of trans activist group for Forendian FRI. So it was a male who identifies as a lesbian woman. So now feminists, half the time when we the right looks at feminists, we still think the left. But I mean, now the left's just eating their own. A feminist, it's gone so far that now the feminism in the left is now championing men as women. Like, I don't know. It makes no sense. Now feminists are under attack from their own people. Like, now you have to say dudes are girls, because it's just gone full circle. And now you have there's dudes in girls sports that are just dominating. Leah Thomas and all those people.
They don't have any competitive advantage. It's very small if they do.
Except that dudes are way taller, have they have a lot more muscle mass, bigger hands, density. Thicker bone density, larger lung capacity. I mean, there are differences between male and female.
How dare you?
And they're just gonna attack. They're gonna attack the language and make you have to say the things they want you to say.
Yeah, and they're like, listen, this is my truth, and that might be your truth. No, once again, we go back to the good book. I am the way, the truth, and life. There's only one truth, okay? And you know what? It's all a perversion against Christianity, people. There's right and there's wrong. And on the right, we're right. We have Christianity, and that's the basis of what we have to be together. And the left hates God so much, they will do anything to disrupt his order, whether it's abortion, transgender, anything. Your truth, my truth. There's no objective truth. They will do anything to cut off what God has created and what God said is good. And you know what? I don't know what God's going to do with this country. I don't know if he's going to destroy us like Sodom and Gomorrah, or if he's going to destroy us like the Amalekites in the Bible. I don't know. I hope not. I hope that people can have a reconciliation and turn from their ways. But you know what? It's just weird. I don't even understand it, man. I don't understand why people want to be transgender. It makes no sense to me. I like being a dude. Clayton, do you like being a dude?
Sometimes.
Working all the time kind of sucks.
But everything the left pushes is ultimately an attack on God. Everything that God has designed, they're always just pushing to destroy that, because everything the left attacks is ultimately because what this nation was built on was Christian morals, and they're just slowly trying to take every single building block we have down and reverse it into some perverse new quotations truth that they're trying to live out. And there is nobody has their own truth. I don't have my own truth. You don't have their own truth. There is only one truth, like you said, and it is through Christ that you will find that truth. And yeah, you're not some special person. You are, you're special in God's eyes, but you're no different than anyone else. Yes, and how, I don't know, it makes no sense.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's right versus wrong. The end times tell us what this is all going to be about, and we're definitely living in the end times. I don't know how long the end times are going to be, but I don't know, man. But I guess we can go on to our next story.
So now we go on to the bottom, the deep, dark, endless pit that is TikTok. For some reason, that is just where everyone wants to post all their leftist perversions, grooming, and all that stuff. And there's a big portion of teachers that go on there and just spout their utter garbage that they try to teach their kids. And like we said earlier, this one is a teacher that tried to explain what non-binary is to their students, and as you will hear, it did not work quite as well as they would like it to be.
So today in Queer Teacher Things, one of my students asked about my roommate, because I know I have a roommate, and I told them their name, and they asked if my roommate was a boy or a girl, and I said neither, and they were like, no, Miss Brown, are they a boy or a girl? I was like, my friend, they're neither. They were like, well, do they have a boy name or a girl name? And I said, neither. And they said, well, do they wear boy clothes or girl clothes? And I said, what are boy clothes and girl clothes? And they go, you know. And I said, no, my friend, I don't know. What are boy clothes and girl clothes? And they said, well, what kind of clothes do they wear? And I said, well, they normally wear jeans and a t-shirt. And they said, well, what color is the t-shirt? And I said, all colors. And they said, well, that doesn't make any sense. And I said, it doesn't have to make sense. And then they walked away because they got mad at me.
You know that this country's in the gutter when the students are teaching the teachers. We have second graders that understand biology better than the ones who we trust to teach them about all this stuff. And like they said, you know what it is. All this non-binary stuff is garbage. It's not true, and they're trying, like this teacher, they're trying to teach your kids what they believe is true, and it's not true, and that's why there's such a big push for conservative people to start homeschooling your kids. Because I mean, would you want your kid having a teacher that's trying to talk to them about non-binary stuff? Obviously, you wouldn't. Nobody wants their kid to be taught that. You want your kid to be taught math and English and stuff. You don't want your kid going there and to learn all about leftist ideologies that are just going to pervert their minds into thinking, maybe, if they get them on that, then they'll be able to teach them anything they want.
Yeah, the Bible tells us that the law was written on our hearts, and these little children, they know what's right and wrong. It's in every cell of their DNA, pretty much, that they're a boy or girl, and that's why they have to be. It's not something where if you just take a child that they'll grow up transgender by themselves. On rare occasions they might, because there's gender dysphoria is a real thing, but it should be treated in the correct and helpful ways. So nowadays they take this rare thing, mind you, and they say, wow, it's so cool, it's so awesome, and then more people tend to do it. So you have children that need to be groomed, and like Everyman Jack, or was that what it's called, Everyman Jack? Yeah, they put up their Groom with Pride ad and then took it down. You have to groom these kids, and that's what they're trying to do, and it's sick, you know what I'm saying? And I think my sister was in school, and they tried pushing. Some new teacher came in from up north or something, some liberal teacher, and he's like, I want you guys to sign this, be friendly to transgenders, and I'll never judge anyone. And all the kids are like, we don't do that stuff around here, because we live in the great South in God's country. And I don't know, man, it's the poor little children these days. And you know what, you can almost blame the parents, though. Like, get involved with your kid's life, because I know for a fact, if I would have came home and said something about, the teachers are being weird, saying boys can be girls, I know for a fact my mother would be kicking the door down in the school and flipping out at the school board. People, you have to get involved in your life. Listen, work can wait. You don't have to have two jobs. Just chill out on your spending. You only need one income, or have your wife work less or something, and get involved with your kid's life. If you don't get involved with your kid's life, they're going to be ruined, and that's going to be far worse than you losing out on a few $100 a week. Get involved with your kid's life. If you love them, you will.
Yeah, and if you look at the statistics, the conservatives have much more kids than the average leftist does. So that's why, I guess statistically, this new generation leans slightly more conservative, and that's why there's such an attack on pushing all this new propaganda into the classroom, because that they know that the conservatives tend to have more kids, and the left they tend to abort more of their kids. So they're going to have your kids, and they're going to try to teach them all this garbage and ruin their minds with it. And they're going to take them and they're going to wrap them with all their ideology that was started by people like Alfred Kinsey and John Money. That I think it was John Money. He was just an absolute pedophile that did horrible stuff to children, and also Alfred Kinsey did too, because he was doing some messed up things with some 5-month-olds. And if you want to know, look those two people up, and you'll know how perverse this ideology is. Because if your ideology is getting started by these two guys, you know something's wrong.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, these guys, absolute scum of the earth. Anything that these guys say, it's false teaching. It's sick. It's disgusting stuff.
And we are not the arbiters of truth. So we encourage you to actually go and look these things up by yourself. Just go on Google and look up Alfred Kinsey and John Money. Just do your research so you know how sick this stuff is. And so last night was not only the beginning of Pride Month, which is what we are here celebrating today, to bring you all this news about it, just celebrating it. But last night was the premiere of the Daily Wire's What Is a Woman, who was made by Matt Walsh and a bunch of other people over at the Daily Wire. We encourage you to go subscribe to them. They make great content exposing all this stuff. But basically, Matt Walsh flew all the way over America and even to Africa to just go ask people who teach about gender and like professors, people who actually do surgery and stuff, like gender reassignment surgery. He went over to an African tribe and people on the streets, actual transgender people, and just asked them, what is a woman? And none of them could answer the question. And people in the African tribe, he asked them about that stuff, and they laughed at how silly America is, and they said they would actually never want to come over here. I would highly recommend you watch that. It is a very eye-opening film.
Yeah, and it's the whole time. It was like an hour and 20 minutes, and pretty much nobody could answer what is a woman. And it's, I just once again, I don't understand it. In this the whole time, like, he was asking for the truth, and like people were getting pissed at him. Well, I don't like the way you're saying truth. Like, that might be your truth, but what about my truth? And he's like, I'm talking about the truth that, like, we're having a conversation right now. Oh, are we? Is that true? And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. So, guys, you have to watch that film. It was great. Subscribe to the Daily Wire. You'll get that show or that film. You'll get other films on Roe v. Wade. They got a couple movies that aren't full of stupid liberal BS. And yeah, I guess.
But yeah, during the premiere last night, because it was kind of a live stream, they had they were just kind of talking about it before, because then starting at 8 o'clock, they were having a live stream about it. And at 9, the movie was actually going to stream live. And during the stream, they got a DDoS attack, which basically they flood the servers and stuff with a bunch of bots that are trying to all sign in at the same time, and it overloads the servers. And it was like me and Jay, when we were trying to watch it, and it was causing lag and stuff like that. And so obviously people out there do not want you to watch it. And it's just insane, because they were really trying to shut down this whole thing, because they know that that they don't want the truth to come out. They really do not want you guys to actually know what is going on with all this stuff that they're trying to teach people. And it was a really sustained attack, and it was one of the biggest films that the Daily Wire ever had, and they had millions of people trying to sign on all at the same time.
It was 1 million people trying to sign on per minute. And I think that was with the DDoS attack, which 1 million people per minute that's insane. Number one, they don't even have 1 million subscribers. So, but it was, my mom was trying to find it today. She was the day after, but she wants to listen to it. It was great film. My wife was like, she came in like halfway through, and she's not usually interested in politics stuff, but it really isn't politics. It's culture, and that's what this culture war is about. Is you have to know this stuff, and a lot of people don't want to know about it. They think it's nasty and sick, which it obviously is, but they want to be ignorant to it. But we can't afford to be ignorant on these subjects. We have to know about them. We have to talk about them, because if not, it's just one little step closer to just utter destruction. But Clayton, how do you think we should stop this transgender movement? Like, let's have a little discussion.
So the only way you can really stop it is to get people to be knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
People really don't most people, I'm sure if you went and asked, most people don't even know half the stuff that the political landscape's talking about. People don't know that if Roe v. Wade is overturned, that it actually won't put a ban on abortion. They don't know that people actually don't do their own research. So that's why we encourage you to do your own research. We're going to tell you what we think. Obviously, we encourage you to go do your own research to find out what you want to believe. It's a lot better to base your beliefs off what you find instead of what CNN and MSNBC find and tell you, oh, you should just believe this. But so first, I believe it starts with knowledge, and then you have to teach your kids. You have to teach your kids about all this stuff that they're trying to teach them, and know what your kids are doing, because you don't want them to get a grasp on the youth. Whoever controls the youth is going to control the future of this nation. So make sure you are teaching your kids the right way. And I mean, if you really do that, I mean, wouldn't you think in the future that'll slowly, if you just keep, I mean, obviously there's going to be leftists out there, but you got to realize they are in the minority. They just have the loudest voice.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing too is the transgender percentage is doubling and stuff. It's at a small percentage. I think it's at 1.6 million transgender identifying people or whatever. But it's going up, and it's like when you have kids. If you double it and you double that, it gets larger faster. So yeah, is it a small minority? Yes, it is. But it's getting larger, and the people who support it is overwhelming. It's 55%, 50% of America at least who support these LGBT freaking stupid bull crap. ABC. Yeah, it's retarded. So,
but you got to pay attention, because in the What Is a Woman film, they actually bring up the story of a guy who was in, what was it, Canada? What was the province? Or
I think British Columbia.
Yeah, British Columbia. He was in British Columbia, and wasn't it? It was between it was like they split up, right? They split up, and the mom was kind of trying to push the kid. Was it a girl? I believe it was a girl. Yeah, it was a girl. She was trying to push it in, like, oh, are you sure you're not a boy? And he found out that, was it through the school?
Yeah, the school.
Yeah, through the school, they were getting ready to start pumping testosterone in his daughter. And by the time he found out, he went over there and raised a big deal about it. And now what? He's in prison now.
He was in jail. Well, he's out on bail now, but yeah, they put him in jail. And
this was what, 2019?
Yeah, and I think he has a $30,000 fine. I
think. Just because he was trying to stop his daughter from getting pumped full of testosterone.
Yeah, because it's against the law in British Columbia to not affirm somebody's gender.
Affirm, yeah.
And listen, that's just that's the hat of North America, and it's coming down here. It'll start in these blue cities, these blue states, and it'll continue onward. The trend, it's happening. And I don't know, man. What can you do? We got to have more discussions. Well, more discussions about actually doing things. We have to get active. We have to get people to rally together.
Vote.
Vote for your local politicians, like your city council, state council, or not state council, state representatives, obviously, but your county council, and we can make changes, small changes, and politics is downstream of culture. So if we can get the culture back on track, we can start changing the politics, You know what I'm saying? The 20 years ago, politics was about taxes and money and this, that, and the other. Nowadays, it's about trying to save your kids from getting transgendered, chemically castrated. That's what this is about. And the stakes are higher than ever before. And we got to start doing stuff, people. It's real easy not to do something. But you know what? If you have kids, you look at your kids, you don't want them. I know you don't want them raised in a life like this. And you know what? If you love your kids, you'll start doing something in a small way. Just be heard. Stand up for what you believe in.
Don't be afraid, because they're in such a minority. But I mean, they always talk about the red wave. I mean, I swear conservatives are generally more afraid to actually speak their mind. I mean, you look in Hollywood.
Oh, 100%.
There's actors out there that don't believe this crap. But I know there's people that I've listened to, and they're like, I know people in Hollywood, like major actors, and they said they are too afraid to come out and say what they believe in because they know they will get canceled and their career will be ruined. The left has such a control over everything that, I mean, if you do speak out, I'm sure you lose your job. But do you want to lose your job, or do you want to lose your control over your kids, your life, everything you believe in? You'll lose.
Yeah, and you know what? If God is with us, who can be against us at that point? I don't know. This life is not worth sloughing for. It's not worth it. Stand up for what you believe in. There's no point in living if you're just going to be a sheep and just led to the slaughter. Like, it doesn't pay. They will come after you for something at some point. Right now, we can stand up. We still live in a pretty free America, guys. We got to stand up. We got to start doing stuff. And I don't know, man. Times are changing. There's hope. There's a lot of hope for the future. A lot of people are starting to come together. They're starting to go against this crap. Like, we can do it. Never lose sight of hope.
And I know most of the people that listen to us right now are more people that we know. They kind of more live in South Carolina right now. And, we live in a more Republican-run state. So I know you're probably thinking, oh, it's not down here yet. But it could be. There are people moving down here. Like, Greenville is a very sought-after place. I saw this thing earlier. It was like a couple of weeks ago. I saw this website said, like, it was like top 5 places to retire. And Greenville was in the top 5 places to retire. Like, people are moving in here en masse, and we don't know what their political beliefs are. We got to get this stuff passed now. Like, go vote. I mean, we can't have politicians in D.C., in Columbia, or whatever your state capital is, who just, lick their finger, put their finger up in the air, and see whatever way the wind is blowing, and that's going to be their thing. The culture wind, if it's, before... like Javen said, we weren't talking about all this crap, but now, the culture was slowly moving all this stuff, the slippery slope, which the left like to call it a fallacy, but it is not. You can look, and now as soon as the culture slowly starts moving stuff, then suddenly the Democrats start championing that stuff. So you got to start fighting. You got to go out and vote. Your vote does matter. I don't care what you think. Your vote does matter. So just go out and vote. Tell your family to vote. You can make a difference.
Yeah, and you know what? That's where we're going to end it, guys. I hope you have a wonderful night, and God bless and God's peace.